Oh, now I can.
Okay, give me 1 second. My camera's coming in. It's all coming. Give me one.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. Can you see me? Maybe you can't see me.
I cannot.
All right, let's try.
I can see myself.
There we go. Now you can see me, or I can see myself.
Out there. I can see you now.
There we go. All right. I
Now,
see
do I need
people
to do anything else to the screen? Everything's exactly
No,
where it's
you're
supposed to
all
be.
good. People are
All right.
rolling in, folks joining us, but we're gonna go ahead and get started. Okay.
Sure.
So, hey everybody, I am here with Chrishon Lampley, who's the CEO of Love Cork Screw. Oh my gosh. So you have built your own, would you call it a wine label? Is that what you call it?
Yes, it's a private label, correct.
You built your own wine label and you sell it in how many stores? Tell us a little bit about your brand because you have some scale, and we were just talking in the last session about like how do you scale your brand, how do you scale your company? You've done some of this. Tell us about this.
Boy, so I'm a negotiant. That's the best terminology of me. So I own my own private label wine. So the juice that's in the bottle, I own it. It's Love Corkscrew. I do not make wine in my bathtub. I source from 3 different vineyards, and it's been an amazing, amazing journey. I'm 4 years in, 60,000 bottles sold. So I'm in the likes of Whole Foods, Mariano's, quite a few locations.
Wow. Okay, 60,000 is a lot.
Yeah. Not enough, but a lot.
How long have you been working on this company?
So 4 years. This is my 4th year and growing. I just turned 4 in December, and now just within the last 2 weeks, I'm able to distribute nationally. So it's been 4 years in the making to even go national. There's so many liquor laws. There's so many things that we have to do in the liquor industry to be licensed and legal. So
Right.
it takes time. It takes time
Okay.
and a lot of money.
So I want to hear about year one because a lot of folks here are in year one, maybe in year two, but they're just getting started. And so tell us about year one, kind of what the highs and lows were.
Year one is always the year of everyone telling you, especially when you own a product, I want to give you exposure, right? I want to get you out there, right? And what does that do? That costs a lot of money, a lot of money. So year one, definitely I wasted a lot of money. Didn't know, kind of threw it to the wall and see if it could stick or not. And you're going to go through a lot of struggles in that, and what makes sense for you and what doesn't. But on the flip side, yeah, you do need marketing. You need to be out there. Thank goodness for social media. Love Corkscrew had an audience already from my previous business, so I was able to capitalize on a growing social media audience that I had already.
Got it. Okay, so you come up with the idea. And you were already doing what? What were you doing on social media before were you able to pull some of that audience?
So I used to own an art gallery and bar in the city of Chicago, and we closed. We closed due to a bad flood. But during that time where we lost everything, when I say I lost everything, I lost everything. During that time, I was able to still build that social media presence, meaning everybody that used to come to the bar used to ask me my wine picks, used to ask me what's the hottest club, what's the hottest restaurant, what to bring to their parties and things as far as varietals of wine. So I was able to say to myself, hey, I'm a Generation Xer. I wasn't really into Facebook and things like that. But what I did was I taught myself to really stay engaged on social media. So I started a blog. I'm an awful writer, absolutely awful writer. But when I started the blog, I still had this great following of telling people where to go, what to do. And that grew.
Already telling them about art and culture and wine, just having part of that. Got it.
Actually. And that's how Love Corkscrew started. That was my blog. Blog turned into a radio show. Next, 60,000 bottles of wine. So
what? Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a really awesome story. I love that story particularly because, I had personally a similar experience where I started my second company by blogging, right? And so building an audience and really just putting yourself out there really, it sounds like for you, helped a lot.
But yeah. If it wasn't for it,
that's the scariest thing. Like getting on the internet, building a brand, like talking about something publicly is really scary. How did you get over that?
I've always been quite transparent, sometimes too transparent, but it's part of your journey. I always say nothing you're doing, you're not reinventing the wheel by any means in anything you do. There's somebody who led the way. But what people buy into is your journey. They buy into your struggle. They buy into your day-to-day life and what happens. And that's the beauty of Love Corkscrew. I am Love Corkscrew. So I am my brand. I am that baby. It's not just the wine. The wine is part of my journey, and that's part of what my company is. So I think once you realize your brand is you and it's something you're passionate about, it's pretty darn easy.
Yeah, got it. Okay, great. So today we have a theme of the day, and we're talking about bootstrapping and business models. So question for you, did you take on like a ton of money, a big loan, a big investment to get started? How did that work for you?
So funny, in my previous bar that I owned, we had an SBA loan, and that destroyed me. I'll be straight up honest with you, it destroyed me. I'm the one who had the property.
What about that?
So I had the property that was attached to the loan. So at the time, and we're talking early 2000, banks were giving away loans, right? Please, SBA 75% secured. Take it, take all this money.
Got a loan
well, of course,
real estate.
Yeah, I had a lot of real estate. I own some investment property, and actually, with the downfall of the business, went my property. My office that I'm in right now, which is my home, I was maybe 48 hours from being kicked out of here, and thank goodness I was able to save it. So,
can you explain to people just really quickly how a small business loan works? Because often you have to do a personal guarantee. Right.
Correct.
So people who don't know, can you just kind of break that down for them?
So, meaning what was attached, personal guarantee, meaning we had a little bit of cash, but what they don't care about the cash as much as they care about property, right? So I had my condo and I had my buildings that I owned. I owned some investment property that was attached to loan to secure it. So it's secured in the amount of the loan pretty much. So if you shall default,
to know that you have some sort of way to pay us back.
Pay back. Yeah, the bank has to know you can pay them back.
Your house, what you own, that's the way. And so if things go wrong, we can take the house, essentially.
They snatch it from you. So when they say it's secured, SBA secured, they're securing the bank. The bank is being secured by insurance, not you personally. That's what you mentally think. Like, 75% of it will be taken care of if I shall default or something. Yeah, right. No, they take everything.
Yeah.
So now I don't deal with banks. I've decided to go definitely on the angel investor route. That's worked for Love Corkscrew. And besides that, yes, I do, finance the company, but company is pretty well taken care of in the sense of it generates money for itself. It moves itself. I really don't have to dig into to the crates. But to all people out there, I tell you one thing right now. I said this on a television show. And I'll say this again, do not quit your day job unless you have a reserve for contingency, unless you have something to take care of. You do not do that. I work a 9 to 5 and run a large company. Yes, I may not get any sleep, but I tell you one thing, my mortgage is paid.
Yeah.
Be smart about that. Always have a reserve for contingency. You need money. Sorry. And whatever the textbook says, times 3. Something will always go wrong.
Got it. So how did you figure out what your business model was going to be? Was it you're kind of in an industry where maybe wine business models always work a certain way or not necessarily? How did you figure out how you were going to charge your customer, how much you were going to charge them, all that good stuff?
Definitely have to do my procurement, which I did. I knew the quality of wine I had. I'm a mid-tier. So I knew what that meant. That means 25 to 44, 6-figure income, somebody that's not necessarily wine connoisseur, but someone who's into wine and buys it. So yes, I did that procurement. I did that assessment of my marketplace. But at the same time, you can do that. But when you hit the market, sometimes it'll surprise you. Some of my clientele was a complete surprise. But the beauty of my product is it has no color. It has no, male, women. It doesn't matter. It's just something that people love. People love wine. So I'm lucky in that.
Give us a range of the price point of your wine.
So my mid-tier means between, pretty much I sit between $12 and $16 a bottle.
12
So
to
I'm
16.
in that safe realm. I'm not the $2 Chucks of the world, but I'm not the Stag's Leap of the world.
Got
And
it.
I like sitting right in that middle because I can access so many people, and it's a great thing. And I'm a teacher as well, so it's fun. I'm not that snob, that wine snob. I can
You're so
actually make it
fancy.
make sense.
Yeah, got it. Okay, so in that price range, do you charge then the distributors and the stores, or do you like how do you make money in between the store? Because you mainly sell online, or do you mainly sell from like another store?
So as a negotiant supplier, also I'm federally licensed. That means I am the vineyard. That's the best way to put it.
Got it.
We make the least money out of everybody. It's like a three-tier
Okay.
system, right? Goes from the supplier to distributor, distributor to retailer, retailer to consumer.
And everybody's got to
So
make a cut.
everybody's got to make a cut in between that, right? So I'm
Got it.
not going to the grocery store and selling. My distributor has salespeople that go and sell it. So it's a very difficult industry. A lot of people think, oh my God, you must be loaded. You sell 60,000 by every time I go buy it from off the shelf, you're making money, Chrishon. Well, not as much as you think. I
Got it.
make money when the shelf gets replenished, but it never stops. It never stops because as soon as the bottle hits the shelf, what? I better sell it. If it doesn't move, I get kicked off the shelf.
Got
So
it.
it's this non-stop movement. It's never a ending. It's never a time where I can be like, "Phew,
I'm
doesn't
done.
exist." Yeah, it's not.
Can you
This
give
is
us a
not.
sense, just because we're talking so deeply about business models today, can you give us a sense, it doesn't have to be for your business, but just for like a wine business in general, as you said, distributor to from you to the distributor, distributor to the store?
From distributor to the retailer, retailer to the consumer. Correct.
Okay. So for the distributor and the retailer, roughly like how are they making their money? Because this is a whole ecosystem here. People don't often think about that. Like you said, they think like, oh, just all the money goes to you. So how
Right.
much does the distributor take in general? Like, is there a percentage? Just trying to understand how these things work.
Correct. It's very law-based, that they have to take a certain percentage. They can't go over a certain amount. So they call it a point system. So
Got
yes,
it.
there's a markup, whether it's 30 to 40%, but each industry is different. But in any POS, any item, any UPC, it's exactly the same. It's not any different from if you sold cookies, to if you have hair products. It's definitely a system where the distributor, the people that sell it, have to make their money too. So, but it's within reason and it's within laws. So they
Got
can't
it.
accelerate it too much to hit the
Got it.
consumer at a ridiculous amount.
You pay them, you charge them a certain amount that's maybe discounted. They do a small markup. Then the retailer does a small markup, and we see it at the very end. But
You see it
really,
at
there's
the end.
all these other
But I
things.
have to make sure when it gets to the end, you guys aren't getting overpriced and it's a price that you want to pay. So I have to keep my price points at a decent amount, knowing that it's going to accelerate and go up by certain percentages. So it's not easy. It's not easy, but
Yeah.
it's a lot of math involved, a lot of math and a lot of sales.
We were just talking in the last workshop about business model math. So I'm so glad that you're bringing this up because you do have to do the math. You can't just,
Yes.
hope that it falls into place, right?
And it's so funny. I have so many entrepreneurs in the similar industry that'll come to me and say, I want to make this amount of money. I said, okay, great. So what you need to do is take that number and start just decreasing, start taking out all those tiers, and we'll see what you come up with at the end. And you'll be amazed what people think that they're going to make and they don't.
Right. That's right. Okay, good. So what does it look like when you go into a distributor or a retailer? Do you negotiate with them? How do you start that in the first place?
That's where my selling comes in. So I have to convince a distributor that Love Corkscrew is going to move. I have to tell them, I know for a fact clients are going to buy it. Do I know that for a fact? No. So it takes my sales and marketing skill set to say, let's do this. This is what I have behind me. It's just like I always use the references to Ciroc, to Puff Daddy. He didn't own Ciroc, but he was the marketer behind it. Ciroc was out 10 years prior to Puffy. It was the marketing behind it that pushed it, right? That made it move, because there's 50 million vodkas out there. There's 50 billion wines out there. What's going to make mine move? So I have to convince the distributor that I have a client base, that I have a product that makes sense in the market, and that's where I come into play to sell it. And to the big box retailers, I just am entering Target, so I'm very excited about that. I had to sell to Target corporate. This is going to sell nationally. Can I prove that? No. Right, but I have to try my hardest to say I know it can move. And then when I leave the meeting, I'm scared bleepless. Let's put it that way.
When you walk in and when you leave, right?
Man, it's a scary moment.
This brings up a really good point, which is that a lot of entrepreneurship, particularly when you start, is kind of fake it till you make it. Sure. How does that play out in your life, fake it till you make it, or when you were starting your company?
It's everything. There's a persona to everything. People buy into you, not your product. Again, you are not recreating the wheel. Believe you me, whatever you say that you think you're doing, like, woo, no, people are buying into you. So you have to be genuine. You have to make sense. That's why I always say your passion follows you. You don't follow your passion. And when that hits you and when your passion finds you, it does become pretty easy to move forward. I'm not telling you the business is easy. I'm telling you can convince the consumer, or you can convince who you're trying to sell it to, whether it's a distributor. You can do it just like that. I've been on TV before. I can in 5 minutes tell you the beauty of love corkscrew, or in 2 hours in a TED's talk. So it has to be a part of who you are, and believe you me, I promise you it will work out. I promise you.
So good. So I see some questions in the chat. Let me maybe read a couple to you.
Sure.
Carrie was asking, when we're talking about business models, she was asking, will the subscription model change the kind of distributor to retailer whole model? You know, does the wine club let you retain a larger percent of your revenue, was her question.
So yes, so I just launched the wine club about a week and a half ago. So now I'm licensed to be able to sell in just about every state, minus I think a good 5 states that have serious liquor laws. So yes, this gives me the opportunity to get to Love Corkscrew fans that I haven't been legally been able to get to. So understand, Love Corkscrew was just sold in the state of Illinois, so in stores. So now the wine club allows me to get Love Corkscrew to the doorsteps of people directly. So yes, direct selling means, yes, I'm losing that middleman, but think about that, right? It's a little more difficult. I have to convince people to purchase wine through my website to hit their doorstep, because there's going to be a slight price increase in that, right? Because in this office right over here, I pack stuff. UPS comes and picks up things. So it's a little more costly. But it's bringing, again, Love Corkscrew to the consumer that's been following my journey for a long time. So yes, I make more, but right now I'm selling less in that end. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah, and you're doing, it sounds like, a lot more work to get it out the door.
I'm working my beheebies off. Yes, it's not easy. It's not easy. Yes, I had to pack 6 wine club memberships the other day, but I have to do that in the midst of, again, working a full time, in the midst of talking to distributors, my publicists, salespeople, my ambassadors. It's not easy. It's not easy.
You are doing a lot. Everybody is like giving you thumbs up here in this chat. So everybody's really.
Oh, I wish I could do that. I don't know where to look, but thank you guys. I'm working my beheebies off. I'm serious.
Bro had a question. How long did it take to close a huge retailer like Target?
I'm still closing. And I will say this, for those women entrepreneurs or minority entrepreneurs, I went through supplier diversity for a lot of things that I do. And that's not easy, especially in the liquor industry, because it means something and it doesn't. But it allowed me to, let's say, get the emails that I wasn't able to get before. But it's a ridiculously long process, even if you're not a minority and not a woman in that sense of being able to go through those channels. A big box store is one of the most difficult things to deal with. So I'm still going through the process. I still have to prove. So I'm in Target now with my candles. So I have wine scented candles. So I'm in 3 Target stores right now. I've moved over 3,000 candles with no marketing budget. But again, that's just the following and beauty of Love Corkscrew, and my packaging is very attractive. But I have to now, talk to Target corporate to go national with those. What does that mean? That could mean I have to ship 30,000, candles to the warehouse, and that's not easy. And I'm still getting my wine in, so it's hard work. It's taken 3 years. 3 years I went to Target, so I'm just now getting in 4 months ago.
Wow. That's so awesome. So you have this brand that you have really built, and Thursday of this conference is going to be marketing day, but I want to just take a quick second and talk to you about marketing, because I keep hearing you talk about this brand you've built. I even see when we first jumped on here, you were first talking about your brand and people were like, yeah, I know it. It's amazing. Like, people know your brand. And so how have you thought about marketing? The reason I'm asking specifically is because marketing often has costs, right? So when you think about the business model, you have to think about marketing too. How do you plan through your marketing and your marketing costs?
So I'll tell you this, the secret to Love Corkscrew, and when I say this, I cannot stress this enough. If any of you have seen my social media on all my channels, Love Corkscrew, it's all me, and it's all genuine. It's me posting. It's not a social media intern. It's not Hootsuite. It's me. So when I market straight through social media. I get over 500,000 impressions alone a month, just on my social media. And that's people following my journey and seeing what's next. I do not, and this is what I choose, my choice. I do not pay for marketing, meaning I'm not going to pay for a space at a conference. I'm not going to pay for a table. I'm not going to pay for an ad. I get a lot of write-ups. I have a publicist that gets a lot of write-ups for me, but I am not going to pay for something that to me is not how it used to be. I'm old school. I used to get, see articles in magazines and everything's based off of, what you pay for in these news articles and things. People don't do any of that anymore. They're on their smartphones. They're on their phones. So why would I pay for that? So when I say I pay for it now, get what I'm saying? Yeah, I have to pay to promote certain ads on social media and things like that. But most of my marketing is through social medias. I can't afford Leo Burnett. I can't afford those huge marketing firms. So as a small business, I have to function the best way I can. And just
when you're doing your own marketing, sometimes you may pay online for an ad, but you're really focusing on where your customers are and using online channels.
Online channels left and right. And with my business, with having a POS, I definitely have to have ambassadors. So I've hired ambassadors. I was just recently on CNBC. If some of you saw me on the job interview, Love Corkscrew was there. We had a whole episode about Love Corkscrew, and it was me finding the next ambassadors. So the ambassador. So I do have, people that I hire to get Love Corkscrew out and about for sure. So that is part of the business.
Tell us more about how that works, because Mark had a question, which is how do you use influencers? So I think this kind of comes directly into answering his question.
Sure it does. So it's funny. So somebody asked me a long time ago, I had an opportunity for I would say a B-lister star to take a picture with Love Corkscrew, right? She enjoyed the wine. I'm not going to say who it was, but she was up there. I'm sure most of you probably know this individual. And at the time, Love Corkscrew wasn't able to be national. So I actually said no. People are like, are you insane? I said, yes, because I'll tell you why. If she had posted out on with her 20, 30 million followers, right? And people couldn't get Love Corkscrew because at that time I didn't have a wine club. People couldn't buy it nationally, right? All I would do was piss people off because I couldn't ship it to them, right? I would just piss people off. It's kind of like that Oprah effect, when they say how something's bad, with Oprah, and sometimes good that you can destroy a business, right?
Right. Getting a ton of publicity early on is not always good.
Correct. So influencers are great as long as they can make you money. But just because you have a star holding a Katy Perry or Kendrick Lamar holding your product, but people don't have access to it, or you cannot produce the product quick enough, so what? Big deal. You're going to be hot for 2 minutes. You're going to get 10,000 likes on social media. Then what? So what? It's over just like that, right? So influencers come into place when they make you money, if that makes sense, and if they're used correctly as marketing. So I have 5 ambassadors on my staff, and I'm really hard on them. Now it's not like walking around looking cute wearing a Love Corkscrew T-shirt. They have a lot of work to do, and they have to sell a lot of bottles. When they're in grocery stores, it's not that sexy, but you better move 5 cases each time. So it's not easy.
Got it. Okay, another question. How do you compete with, the likes of Cooper Top Winery, kind of these bigger brands? I remember early days when you offered free wine tasting Tuesdays at the art gallery. You've got some awesome followers here.
Wow, yeah. Oh my goodness.
Opening, a retail shop and offering wine tastings to grow the subscription model. Like, how do you think about that in-person brick and mortar model that you used to have? How does that all play in?
It's hard. It's hard. It's one of those things when you have a brick and mortar, sometimes you are confined to that space. They say one of the number one reasons why some businesses go out of business is the owner is stuck in those four walls because they're not getting out and marketing it. So the beauty of Love Corkscrew is now I can market national. I just got back from Atlanta doing a speaking engagement. I'm going other places doing TED Talks. So Love Corkscrew allows me to travel around nationally. Now having the wine club, people can purchase it nationally. So I would say that the difference now is just a different game. As far as the likes of Cooper's Hawk and things, they aren't my direct competition. For people who are really into wines, I only have 2 sweet wines out of the 5 I have. So it's not the same thing. Yes, there are people who enjoy Cooper's Hawk and enjoy Love Corkscrew, don't get me wrong. But the model's a little different because they have a restaurant. They make money off their restaurant that just happens to have a wine club that brings people in because people can pick up their wine clubs at the restaurants. So yeah, eventually, should I have Love Corkscrew wine bars? Maybe. But right now, I love the fact that I can travel, influence other entrepreneurs, and grow my business on a national scale with a shoestring budget.
Yeah, it sounds like this really just keeps coming back to the kind of business model math that you've had to do, because when you think about the ROI, your return on investment of doing kind of some national marketing on social media versus doing something in store that only people in like the neighborhood or the surrounding area can come to, you have a different kind of reward that you get out of it.
And I don't owe rent. It's one of those things. I'm not stuck with that ridiculous rent lease that a lot of businesses go out of business. I know 4 businesses that literally, kid you not, just closed in the last 4 weeks that I'm shocked at. Yeah. But then again, I'm not shocked because I know what it takes. I remember people used to come to my gallery and think, oh, because you bought some tea and a beer, oh, they're doing it. They're making money. No. No, it's not that easy.
You had mentioned the Cooper Hawk's kind of business model and them making money from a restaurant, which is particularly interesting. I think there's a lot of times where there are almost these invisible business models. For example, I don't know if any of you guys have seen I think it's called The Founder, the movie about the guy who started McDonald's or kind of did marketing for McDonald's, and how McDonald's, we all think of it as, they make money because we buy burgers from them, but really they make money because of real estate. They're a real estate company. And I heard some kind of similar things you were mentioning about some of the other players in your industry. So can you just talk about that? Like, there are some other ways that people are making business in your industry too, like restaurants. How does that work?
So it's all a funny thing. So I'll talk more on my end. So again, a lot of people think I'm making money for each individual bottle I sell. I actually, right now, until I'm nationally distributed, and I'm talking like at least 38 states, right? Yeah. I'm not going to be a millionaire until then, right? Till I'm at least in 38 states. I'm in 1, 38.
Right.
But where my company will profit from is a lot of the speaking engagements I do. I get hired a lot for speaking engagements and telling my story. Understand, you guys, I'm less than 0.01% of my industry as an African-American woman vintner. So there's literally 60 of us out of 111,000 in the world. So I'm definitely that unicorn. So to relate to what you're saying, there's other ways you can make money for your baby. I make more money in candles than I do in wine, but wine is my passion, right? So it all kind of works cohesively together. I can tell people my story. I can get out to people and there's a lot of people who don't drink, right? But you can buy my candles. But I'm able to kind of capitalize on my whole company, which is LCS Entertainment, in different ways and different things fund. I think I hear tons of successful stories about other ways of funding their babies. Like Puff Daddy is one of them. Bad Boy didn't make any money, so there's.
Wait, tell us more about that. So he's got this record label.
Right. He made more money off of clothing than anything. So but his passion was the music.
Yeah.
My passion is wine. I know wine, right? But my bigger story and my bigger picture and my journey is what funds my company. And I can only smile every morning when somebody wants to hear that.
Wow, that's so interesting. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. I just have one last question for you. What kind of advice do you have for entrepreneurs who are just getting started? They're maybe 1 or 2 years in that kind of range and are just getting going.
Keep going. At 2 years, you're going to fail. I'm going to be very honest with you. You're going to fail in what you think, how you thought it was going to go. Promise you. But the one catch between, they say the difference between a hobby and an entrepreneur is going to be how resilient you are when that failure takes place. I promise you are. Even if you make tons of money, but you're going to do something that's not quite right, not the right thing to do, and you're going to lose it. And that's okay. That's okay. Because entrepreneurs, we're nuts. And that's the beauty of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are one of the brokest people out, right? We're broke. Because what? We're putting money back into our company. We're feeding and growing our company. If you don't do that, you will fail. So I need you to continue to push. At 2 years, it's hard. It's hard. I'm year 4. And it's hard. It's hard. I'm not going out of business anytime soon. I promise you that. But I'm working 3-4 times as hard as I was when I was failing.
Yeah.
So as you become more successful, you're working 10 times harder to retain that success. And we all have different levels of success, but I want you guys to evaluate that and not think of what everybody else thinks of you. Don't think about what everybody else is saying, what your success should be. Somebody turned me into a beauty shop / pet store / you should do this. You should add all this. By the time I would have been a mess if I had listened to everyone else. So follow your heart. Let your passion follow you. I promise it'll work out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chrishon. I will, if you want to stay around a little bit later, not in this chat here, but in the larger community chat, if people have questions or anything like that, they may be able to tag you. But thank you so, so much. There are people in the chat kind of like typing up notes from what they learned from you.
I love it. I love it.
Thank you so much. And we will talk to you really soon.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good luck to you. Let your passion follow you.
Passion follow you. I love it. Have a good one.